everybody. This is Chef Ahki here, and I am here with a very, very special guest today that I want to introduce you all to, and that is the awesome Dr. Amsu of the Aboriginal Medical Association and author of the Fibroid Elimination Bible. Thanks for joining me today, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here, and I have been dying to grill you on some of these controversial things that you all are talking about in this amazing new book, Fibroid Elimination Bible. But firstly, tell me a little bit about the Aboriginal Medical Association and how you got involved with that.
Well, I was basically, the Aboriginal Medical Association was founded by Dr. Ali Muhammad. And I was already studying medicine and, was well deep into it because what my journey was, I was fed up with hearing, try this, this is, the whole eat for your blood type and all the stuff that was going on the internet where people are saying, this is the best way to eat, this is the best way to live, this is the best situation.
Right.
And a lot of it out there was geared towards the European biology. Here comes along Dr. Ali Muhammad, and his whole thing is our biology is different from theirs. So things that are conducive for them are not conducive for us. And a lot of black people find out the hard way that that's the situation, is that we're not the same. So
very similar to Sadie's philosophy.
Very similar to Sadie's philosophy as well. So, because of Dr. Ali's dynamic teaching skills, it was and plus he's around my age and everything like that, so it was more appealing. And no disrespect to Dr. Sadie, because he's one of the guys who put me onto the path. But hearing, the information come from Dr. Ali, it opened my eyes to the differences, biological variances and the pathological variances that we have from Europeans, white people.
Gotcha. Okay. So what is the goal of the Aboriginal Medical Association?
Our goal is basically to get our people out of hospital because we're filling those damn hospitals right now.
Right.
Pardon the French, but we're filling the damn hospitals right now because we're catching all kinds of hell because we're following somebody else's diet that was made for them. What they're thriving in is killing us. So the whole thing is, where does it go wrong? Where's the separation? Where's the differences? So our whole thing is, all right, we have to identify the differences, especially in diet, because everything about us when we get ill, 85% of the time is to do with our diet. So our whole journey is to identify what's best for our people and to educate our people in what the best path is, best paradigm is for them, and then eliminate illness within, indigenous peoples on the planet. And that's our whole thing.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, are you saying that there is a genetic predisposition to disease, that certain foods may cause disease in certain race groups or not?
Yes. I mean, there are different haplotypes and haplogroups, and that biological variance, there's a difference in genetics between, different races around the planet. And our goal is to find out, all right, what's best, because the diet that we're on, like the standard American diet, it's not good enough. It's full of holes, it's full of, full of pathogens, full of bacteria, full of all kinds of yeasts and fungi that are killing us, that's making us sick. So our whole thing is, we're not going to accept it, and we're going to get to the bottom. We're going to solve this puzzle of how are we different? What food should we be eating? Because it's not good enough.
Now, you said something that really stands out to me in talking about the food pyramid. I know we always see this large section of like bread and grains and all these things, and you talked about yeast or starch or fungi. Something that's really popular right now in the vegan vegetarian culture across the board of all race groups has been this really yummy, delicious seasoning, and I know some of you probably still use it in your kitchen every day, and that's nutritional yeast.
Oh, yes.
So talk to me about nutritional yeast, and is this a health food?
In a word, or in two words, hell no. In 4 words,
Wow.
hell to the no. You know,
Wow.
nutritional yeast is not a healthy food. The name is deceiving. The name is deceiving. It's like our body needs sugars, but then you get processed refined sugar or sucrose, and somebody says, well, you need sugar, and here's sugar. Take the sugar. Nutritional yeast is yeast. It's a bacteria. It's a bacteria, and this is the thing. It's big in the vegan population, in the vegan community. It's like got to have the nutritional yeast. But when you think about it, the bacteria, and the name of the bacteria is Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Okay.
Right? It's the same bacteria or the same yeast that's used for baking bread, the same yeast that's used for brewing and various other fermentation that how it's produced. Now, this is a micro animal. It produces asexually through mitosis, and it also produces sexually through sporulation. It's a spore. So that means it's a creature that has sex to reproduce.
Now,
It's an
hold on,
animal.
doctor. Hold on. You're taking me too far too fast.
Okay.
So you're saying to me that yeast has the same qualities of a spore, or it is a spore that can
It's a spore.
that actually attaches itself and has sex or some asexual.
It multiplies at an extremely fast rate,
Wow.
but they have sex. They have sex, and the bad thing about it, you have nutritional yeast, which people say, another name for it is deactivated yeast.
Okay.
Then you have where it actually comes from, this Saccharomyces cerevisiae
Okay.
bacteria,
Okay.
which has sex and it multiplies.
Okay.
Right? So this Saccharomyces cerevisiae, 60 to 75% of people with Crohn's disease were found to have antibodies of this Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Wow.
Crohn's disease. All kinds of intestinal problems, colitis. 40% of people with colitis have been found with antibodies. This is the origin. So if somebody says, I'm a vegan, nutritional yeast, that's basically an animal you're eating there. That's a living being that has been killed, and then you're putting it on your plate. It might be microbe, but it was alive and it was reproducing. Had kids, had the 2.5 kids in the car, basically in a micro world. Here you have it on your plate, and you're saying I'm a vegan.
Wow.
But there's a process. It goes through a whole process to get it from being this living being, microbe, to being a flake on your table.
Now, is this
It's
the
like sugar.
same thing? What's the correlation with nutritional yeast and say just traditional baker's yeast that you would use to
Right. So all right.
make
So
cake or?
they're they're bred in the same way, where you have molasses or sugar beets, and they're cultured. Put into a container, if you will.
Fermented.
And they're cultured on sugar beets and that, and the sugar beets and that are fortified with certain vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
And then it's taken from that and separated out, and then what's left is the cream yeast. I'm just giving you the basic.
Yes.
The cream yeast is left, what they call cream yeast, and that is pasteurized to deactivate. They call it deactivation. But it's really, they're killing it. They kill it. While they're pasteurizing it, basically heating it, they add your B vitamins and your folates and your, the nutritional.
Hence nutritional.
The nutritional part of it, right? And then they dry it out, package it, and then they bring it to you. So there's a whole process that it goes through, like sugar, before you get it. So it's a processed food.
Wow.
So all these people who talk, if you ever come across, these bougie vegans who, I don't eat anything processed. I'm raw. But then you get your raw and then bam, here's the nutritional yeast because it tastes so good.
Well, that's because it tastes so damn good. Why does it taste so good?
Because, my friend, it's an excitotoxin.
Okay.
It's just like MSG, monosodium glutamate. When we go to the Chinese and whatever, the reason why Chinese food tastes so good is because of the monosodium glutamate, which comes from the kombucha, which, you know, from a seaweed, which, you know, some Japanese guy, you know, and I'm being very, you know, being vague for the audience. Some Japanese guy, scientist, back in the 40s or whenever, or the early 30s or wherever, discovered that MSG was that ingredient that was making the food taste so good from this kombucha seaweed. So he isolated it, and then they mass produced it. He got together with some company, right? Japanese company, and they isolated it and they mass marketed it, and you had the US soldiers who were saying that the Japanese soldiers' rations taste a lot better than theirs. What was this? Why did it taste so much better? Because of the MSG. So when they came back, like, look, their food tastes a lot better than our food. Our food tastes bland, tastes great. So there became this blow-up industry of MSG. Now, nutritional yeast contains, or yeast in general, contains glutamate. Now, glutamate is a protein that, you know, it's a natural occurring protein which is beneficial for us, you know, or glutamic acid, which is beneficial for us. You know, we have glutamate receptors. We produce glutamate in the intestines. We have glutamate receptors. Glutamate is a neurotransmitter.
So it's a natural chemical.
So it's a natural chemical in the body, but it is highly, the brain and the way how our body is built, it's very regulated, it's tightly regulated. It has to be, because it's so dangerous. It's a dangerous chemical, but it's in our body, and it's necessary. It helps to metabolize, it helps to get rid of, you know, metabolize and flush out nitrogen and waste products out of us. It helps cells to metabolize.
So what is
but it's a neurotransmitter.
This glutamate that occurs naturally in this glutamate?
All right, so natural glutamate is bound. The amino acids are bound.
Okay.
You know, they're natural, they're bound. So each amino acid keeps each other intact, where it doesn't cause, you know, that much damage. Now, in the process of converting the Saccharomyces cerevisiae bacteria into nutritional yeast, that heating process unbinds the amino acids. So you get free glutamic acid.
Wow.
And, you know, all glutamate is just basically the carboxylate anion of glutamic acid. So glutamate is, you know, comes from glutamic acid. Free glutamic acid is an unbound amino acid. Anybody who knows anything about chemistry and biology knows that amino acids, when they are unbound, they are toxic. They're dangerous.
Interesting.
So anybody who gets the brag aminos, that free aminos,
yes, also very
toxin,
popular in
very
vegan
popular,
food.
toxin, deadly, poison.
Wow.
So, so what happens when you have free glutamic acid? When you ingest it, it excites the taste buds, and it also is an excitotoxin. It stimulates neurons. It makes them, the neurons or the receptors within neurons fire at such tremendous pace that they get excited and they go off and they do everything rapidly, and they burn themselves out. So they go off, they get all excited and, you know, pace up and down and vibrate quickly and whatever for about an hour. Then a few hours later they die because they burnt themselves out.
Wow.
So this is how it's a neurotoxin.
Wow. So everyone, don't blow me up with your emails complaining, oh my gosh, Chef Ahki says we can't have nutritional yeast in Bragg's aminos. I know you're going to hate me for this, but hey, this is what we're here to do as researchers and culinary artists, is to bring you guys the cutting edge information on what you can eat and what you should not eat and why. All right, so that's what we're here talking about today with Dr. Amsu, and I appreciate you for joining me and clearing up the misconception of what nutritional yeast is and isn't. And it sounds to me like it's not so nutritional. So you guys...
Well, this is the thing, we have to recognize it's a neurotoxin. It damages brain, it causes brain lesions. Now, there are certain parts of the brain which are very sensitive. The hypothalamus. This is your central station for everything. It controls your endocrine system. It's responsible for emotion, for your motion, for breathing, for sleeping, for sneezing. There's the limbic system which attaches to it, which is a central part of the limbic system, which is your emotion, anger and fear. So there are things that excitotoxin and glutamate and monosodium glutamate, 78% of MSG is glutamate. For those who think, oh, it's different because that's monosodium glutamate, we're talking about glutamate or glutamic acid. No, it's 78% of monosodium glutamate. The sodium part isn't what hurts you. It's the glutamate part which hurts you. So the glutamate that's in this. So aside from it being a bacteria which causes Crohn's, which can cause Crohn's disease or colitis or whatever, right? It's deactivated, so it won't harm you with that, because when you consume it, because it's dead, it's not going to reproduce. So it's just flavor or whatever. People think, all right, it's deactivated, can't harm me, but it tastes so good. Oh wow! But the stimulation of the taste buds with the excitotoxins, it makes food taste better than it is. So people like to talk about the blood-brain barrier.
Yes.
They say, oh, when we eat food, the blood-brain barrier protects us from any toxins that we eat. But what they don't know, because most people who talk about the blood-brain barrier don't know biology. They don't know about the brain. There are areas of the brain which are not protected by the blood-brain barrier. These areas are like the pineal gland, your third eye, all right? Your pituitary gland, the hypothalamus, the area postrema. And the area postrema is basically, if you eat something, a good example is a baby. Babies eat something, they vomit it up because something tells them that's not good for you. So it's a reaction. A reflex. That toxin, so you throw it up, right? So that protects the brain. If there's a toxin in, it's going to try to throw it up so it doesn't get into the bloodstream. And there's also the median eminence of the hypothalamus.
Okay.
All right. The reason why the blood-brain barrier doesn't protect these particular glands is because they produce hormones. All right, so the pineal gland that's your third eye. That's producing, hormones like oxytocin and vasopressin. And these are, especially women who are lactating. This helps with lactation.
So you're telling me that the brain, these centers of the brain, are completely left open and neglected?
No, well, they're not neglected. The reason why they're not protected by a barrier is because hormones have to be excreted into the bloodstream from these glands, and the hypothalamus regulates these hormones, and the pineal gland in particular is connected to the hypothalamus.
So MSG is shutting down these areas.
So the hypothalamus is so sensitive. You have the hypothalamus and you have the temporal lobes. These areas of the brain are so sensitive that just a minute amount of glutamate over the limit that's supposed to be. Because remember, glutamate is a neurotransmitter.
Right.
So we have glutamate receptors in nearly every cell in our body. So, but it has to be highly regulated. That means only a minute amount of it is needed to do the job. Anything above, minute amount above, triggers all kinds of devastation.
Wow.
And will excite and kill brain cells.
So this is not something where I can say, oh, I'll just have you know, a little bit a few times a week, or
Right.
it's not that bad.
And this is the thing, when people have conditions, and this is one of the things with glutamate as well, it inhibits secretion or the influx of glucose to the brain.
Oh, wow.
So when somebody doesn't get enough glucose to the brain, hypoglycemia. Hypoglycemia is the behavioral behavioral curse. Antisocial behavior, violence, rage.
Wow.
Something like 80% of all violent criminals are hypoglycemic.
Wow.
All, you know, conditions like attention deficit disorder and ADHD, hyperactivity, it's all to do with the blood sugar levels.
Wow.
You know, and, you know, MSG or excitotoxins, exactly, they absolutely magnify
And that's most of the kids
these
that are listening
conditions.
right now. Most of the kids in school are having a diet full of MSG, full of gluten, full of
Right, that's all they eat.
breads and
So
cereals and
this is the
sugars.
thing. So we see children
Wow.
with Doritos, and we're like, stop eating that poison.
Yeah.
But the same flavor enhancer that's making them, nah, I've got to have my Doritos, I've got to have my Cheetos and all that. Same thing that, you know.
No different from the kale chips and popcorn with
Right.
yeast all over it.
Now here's where people are fooled now. Here's the thing. See, one of the things that people don't realize, or, you know, they speak about is, you know, I eat it and I don't get a reaction. When I eat nutritional yeast, I don't get a reaction. You're not going to get like an allergic reaction to it. Some people may have an allergy to it, you know, all good for them. But it's not immediate. This is something that, you know, pregnant women, for instance, who are in their third trimester, all the way up to when a child is 4 years old, the synapses or brain pathway, your brain networks, right? The network of your brain, I'm going to use layman term, the networks of your brain is being formed from third trimester to about the age of 4. So when you're ingesting excitotoxins, it's doing brain damage. This will not come out in a child. You know, if you test a child for how are they developing, they're going to look fine. But later on, when they start doing, you know, more advanced calculus, they ain't got a clue.
So it shows up
I
later.
don't know what the hell you're talking about. The
Gotcha.
cognitive, the intelligence is going to be lapsed, which is part of right now where we say things are being dumbed down. The reason why things are being dumbed down is because we have become dumbed down. We're literally dumbed down by what we're eating. So, you know, this whole thing with nutritional yeast is not going to affect you immediately.
Okay.
It's something that years later, down the road, the effects of it come out there, whether it's Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, you know, Lou Gehrig's disease, you know, multiple sclerosis, all these things. It not only does it cause it, but it enhances these diseases. If somebody has it for another reason, it will actually enhance it and amplify it.
Wow. Well, you heard it here, guys. We have unfortunately just uncovered the truth about nutritional yeast and MSG as well, and we're going to uncover a lot more, so stay tuned. I think we're going to have to do a part 2 series with Dr. Amsu because I've got a lot of questions for you, and you guys are really raising some hell on the web right now with a lot of people about this controversial diet. So stay tuned, everybody, here with Dr. Amsu, and hope to see you all at the Atlanta seminar and the worldwide webinar for fibroid elimination, September 27th.